So I'm dropping my daughter off, y'all, and I'm trying not to cry because, like, I'm really pissed off. But my daughter, she told me that last week when she was in school, they were all like at recess, and it was like an older white girl, and they're playing with chalk and stuff. And there was like another little black girl that came over there, and my daughter's biracial, so she can pass, you know, if she really wanted to, but she's light, so that's just what it is. But there was a black girl that came up to the white girls, and my daughter is like off to the side, she said, and the little white girl, the black girl, goes up to the girls, and she's like, well, can I play chalk with you guys? And the little white, yeah, oh Jesus. And the little white girl said, what did she said, no, I don't like black people. And I got so pissed off, and I just had to have a talk with my daughter and let her know, don't you ever. And she said, well, I walked away too because I'm black. And I said, you know what I mean? I had to let her know, like, I'm not upset with you, but you never ever let no white girl or no white boy or nobody tell you where the hell you belong. Okay? I said, they don't have no right to tell you nothing about where you should go or what they don't like. And if they don't like you being there, they need to get their little asses up and go somewhere else. I am so mad, and I'm going to go up to her school because she said the girl is not in her class. They just have recess together, and she's an older girl. But I'm going to go up to the school, and I'm going to let them know. I'm going to let them know that they have a little white girl up there telling black girls, black kids that, oh, I don't want to play with you because I don't play with black people. I don't like black people. Like, who the hell? I don't understand how in 2025 that we're still in this place. And it's her parents' fault because her parents are racist. But I told my daughter, I said, girl, you will never, ever, ever, ever get in trouble. Ever for letting somebody know not to talk to you like that. I said, I'm not suggesting you fight nobody. I said, but you're strong and you got muscles on you and you know how to fight. And I'll come pick you up whenever. You never let nobody tell you where you belong. And if you see a black girl who's darker than you and white girls are saying something, you stand up and you say, don't talk to her like that. We belong here. And I told her, I said, you are light skinned. You are biracial. So you make him pass for a little white. But you never pick. You don't gotta choose white. You don't have to choose black. You choose being you. And if people don't like that, then I literally I can't even fucking believe it. I'm so mad. I really am. I'm so pissed off. And I'm gonna go up to the school, and I wish the little girl was in her class or something. Because I would go up there and I would let the little girl know. Oh, Jesus. That's all I wanted to say. It's just sad that this is the time that we're living in, that where kids feel like they can still say this type of stuff. It's like, who the fuck is raising you? Like, why are y'all crazy? What the fuck? What's up? But not no more. We're not dealing with it. We ain't dealing with it. Not mine, not my children. They'll be up at school knocking people down, and we'll go back to homeschool. I don't care. But you're not going to talk to mine any type of way. No. That shit is crazy. That's to the white folks in Washington State who are racist, whether you're out and open about it or you're in the closet about it. To racist white folks in Washington State who are mad because y'all have to see black faces at your park and at the grocery store, and our black children are in school with y'all's. Understand that when we say that we're not our ancestors, we don't say that shit because we just trying to be cute or say some fancy shit. We say that with our chest poked out, with our heads held high, because we are not our ancestors. The shit that y'all got away with back in the day is not the same shit that y'all gonna get away with today. So y'all kids, y'all need to remind y'all kids that racist shit y'all talk about in y'all homes, that N-word y'all be using when y'all see one of us on the TV doing something, the political shit y'all be talking about in your homes and your kids be overhearing it, all that shit y'all talk about in your home, you tell your kids that they need to keep it in the house. Tell your kids to keep that shit in y'all homes. And when they walk out that door and y'all walk out and y'all hop in your car and they get dropped off at school, tell them not to shut it down. Because when one of your little white kids get popped in the mouth, don't scream, oh my God, oh, it's just violence. When your child get cussed out, or when parents are at the school ready to see you, and we asking for meetings, and where's the parent of this little racist little kid? Don't look shocked. Don't act appalled. Don't look, oh my God, racism. Oh, racism doesn't exist. No, it fucking is alive. It's alive as fuck. Especially living here in Washington State, this predominantly white area. It is loud. Okay? Y'all need to figure out why y'all are so, what's the word? Y'all have like this generational like chains of anger, of hate. And y'all need to go to therapy and fix that shit, because it is not normal. It's not going to be tolerated. Tell your children that y'all can be racist all through y'all house, but when they step into that school, they need to figure something else out. They need to act like something else. They need to do something. Fake it till you make it. But stop allowing your children to go into these schools trying to tear black kids down. Because when that black kid put their foot on little Jeffrey's neck, we don't want to hear no complaints. We don't want to hear no police being called, because we sick of this shit. We sick of it. We sick of it. And we not dealing with it.
Just a heads up for you conservative parents that are teaching your kids to be bigots like you and be bigots out loud and be bigots at school to kids like my kids and other kids that are not cis, white, straight, and mediocre. I'm teaching my kids and other kids and every kid that hears this that when someone acts like a bigot or a racist, when they say bigoted and racist things around you, just scream bigot and racist. Raise your hand and let the teacher know right then and there that you just witnessed something bigoted and racist. This is especially important in these schools where kids can't even have their phones on them, where they can document it. You need to call attention to it immediately, in the moment. So keep teaching your kids to be hateful. I'm going to keep teaching mine to stand up for herself and for others, to stand against hate.
White people love taking credit for the good things that they discovered or were huge innovators of, or things that they or people do that they introduced to the rest of the world. But they never want us to talk about racism, which is funny because you also invented that. Why should we only talk about the good things when you literally brought this thing that is such a major thing that still exists to today and will probably exist for a few or a couple of years to come? Take credit for what you did. Actually take ownership for what you did. Then if it's something that you don't like, then actually speak about it. Actively do something about it. Stop saying that you don't want to talk about racism because it makes you uncomfortable. Well, guess what? It makes a lot of black people uncomfortable, and yet they have to do it. So you're not as special. You are just a human being, just like the black people and any other people who are a minority in America. You cannot not want to talk about something that your ancestors brought to life. You cannot not want to talk about something that benefited you and is still benefiting you and hurting other people. And then you want to say under the name or in the name of me wanting peace, I don't want to talk about it. You're never going to have peace unless you talk about things that you don't want to exist. You cannot have peace if the things that you don't like exist. And how do you remove those things? By eliminating them and joining the people who are actually affected by it. Joining hands with them and actually doing something about it. But before I give my full commentary, let's dive in, listen to what other people have to say. Then we'll come back and talk about it. See you shortly.
My name's Kylie, and this is how hatred is taught in a lot of white families. If you've ever wondered how can people grow up and be so hateful or just so out of touch, this is how. A lot of the time, hatred is silent and insidious, and it teaches white people to be complicit in racism and other types of bigotry. For instance, if you do want to have a conversation about race or something else, your parent might quickly shut you down and say, oh, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about these types of things. That is how white people are socialized to be so unbelievably selfish and honestly ignorant of racism, despite being the perpetuators of it, despite literally creating the system. That's why I said in a previous video that our knowledge of racism is like honestly like children, because we are not taught to discuss these things, right? That's why white people get so defensive, because they hit their 20s and 30s and for the first time they're being called out. That combined with scarcity thinking, they're taking our jobs, there's not enough for the rest of us. That ignorance is what creates hatred. For the most part, the white moderate is the truly dangerous people, because they're not the full-blown extremists, but they're the people just in the middle that allow these types of comments and honestly racist practices to continue. You grew up and you were taught to be nice and not question the status quo. You were taught to be complicit in systems like racism, transphobia, and homophobia.
Yeah, I got something to say this morning, and I'm unapologetic about it. And if you disagree with me, then you're part of the fucking problem. But if you're racist and you're teaching your child to be racist, you're a fucking piece of shit human being. Kids are not born with hate in their heart. They're not born with racism in their heart. It's a taught thing. You're teaching your child to be that way, and you're a fucking piece of shit for it. It is 2025. We ain't got room for racism anymore. The color of your skin has no bearings on how you live your life and what your character is. Y'all need to fucking stop.
You know, I don't like racism. I don't like it in the white community, and I don't like it in the black community. And I see it just as much in the black community. And I get a lot of people being upset about, you know, slavery and stuff like that. But a lot of white people have no idea about slavery. A lot of white people today had nothing to do with the slavery that went on back then, right? They have no clue. So here's what I'm talking about. I gave my daughter the other day, she was talking about something concerning white people, and it was kind of a racist statement. I had to check her on that, because here's the thing. Racists are not born, they're created. If you don't begin to check your children, right, on racist statements, because they're going to hear, in my community, which is the black community, you hear a lot of racist statements, and so they pick it up, right? And so when she said the thing that she said, I had to check her, right? I said, don't let me ever hear you talk about white people like that. Don't let me ever hear you talk about anybody like that. I said, you have to love everybody and judge them based on their character and who they are. I've known a lot of good white people, and I've known a lot of white people who are very hateful and demonic and hated black people. I'm 57 years old. I'm not stupid. I've been around, but I'm not going to sit up here and judge every white person for the sins of somebody a long time ago. Stop making excuses, people, for your life and saying that it's a white person's fault. Yes, they do a lot of stuff, even some of them to this day, to try to keep us down, but it's not all white people. Just like we don't want them to judge us all, under the same umbrella. Let's stop judging all of them, because there are some very good white people that I've met that gave me good jobs and had a lot of faith in me and were really good friends. I'm not going to sit up here and teach my children about racism, that it's okay to say this about white people. Yeah, if I find somebody that's white and they're racist and they're doing some racist stuff, I'm going to call it out. But am I going to judge everybody? Am I going to teach my children that? No. Stop teaching your children racism, whether you're white, black, or whatever color, because a lot of this stuff, like I said, it's not born. We teach this to our children. So take the time. If your child says something racist, whether you're white or black, check them. Because I'm going to tell you from a black person's point of view as well, all of us are not robbing people and doing all of this crazy stuff. We want to live peaceful lives just like a lot of other people. We just didn't have the opportunity.
Well, yes, hatred is taught, but you're giving my parents, my family, far more credit than they deserve when you say that I was not raised to be racist, because I was 100% raised to be racist. My parents dropped the N-word as easily as I dropped the word fuck. It's how I remember them describe the N-word is how I remember them describing every black person that I saw as a child. Anecdotal story, you know how everybody has those funny kid stories that their family tells over and over again about things that they do as a kid that's so cute or so funny? Yeah, well, buckle up, because here's my anecdotal she's so funny story. I'm 2 years old. We're at the health department because we were poor, and that's where we went for our health things like shots and physicals and all that. I'm sitting on my mom's lap. In walks a larger black woman. And as the story has been told repeatedly throughout my life, I screamed at the top of my lungs loud enough for everybody to hear, "Ooh, mommy, look at the big N-word." Now, I'm 2 years old. I don't know what the N-word means. All I know is that's how I have associated black people, because that's what my parents say when they see black people. When I got old enough to understand what the N-word meant and the implications of calling someone, another human being, that word, it would make me angry and sad that my parents and my siblings used it so often. And I would try to tell them how wrong it was. And it never worked. It got to the point where especially my sister would say the N-word just to get under my skin and to make me uncomfortable. So, racism is taught. Kids don't know any better. They model what they see the people in their lives doing. But at a certain point in every person's life, and I would say it's around puberty, maybe a little older, but you know in your heart what is right and what is wrong. And you can't blame your parents anymore if you choose to be a fucking racist, because you can unlearn that shit.
So I'm watching Meghan and Harry documentary, right? And parents, teach your children about race and racism. Although I understand the logic in not wanting to teach your children about racism and race because you don't want them to always view the world through a lens of race. However, y'all, in this world, race and racism is a thing. And oftentimes when children aren't taught about race or racism, especially black children, mixed children, biracial children, children that got some type of pinch of something black in them, those children grow up not understanding what it means to be black in this world and some of the things that may come with the black experience, including experiencing racism. Therefore, when it happens, they internalize the negative experience as it must be something wrong with me. It must be something that I did. What am I doing that these people don't like me? Because they haven't been taught about race, so they don't know that it's nothing wrong with you. It's not anything that you're doing. These people are just racist. The black experience is beautiful, and Meghan's mom definitely says she wished she would have gave Meghan more of a black experience. What I think she's talking about is I wish I would have prepared her for dealing with what she's dealing with now, which is racism. As opposed to try to fit in and blend in and change the color of your wardrobe because you just want to blend into the background. Honey, you are a black girl in an all-white royal family. You are never going to blend in the background. And I feel like if she would have been taught about racism, she would have known that from the very beginning and would have at least had a stronger idea of what she potentially was walking into and not try to change herself to fit in or blend in, because she would be aware that, girl, you are always going to stand out as a black woman or mixed woman, but a woman with some black in her. Like, sis, it ain't no fitting in. And another thing is this idea of growing up and never experiencing racism. My darling, if you only learn about race in school and racism in school, you're only learning about overt racism and racism at its extremes, like chattel slavery and Jim Crow and segregation. Because she wasn't taught about racism in the home, she wasn't taught how to identify covert racism as well as microaggressions. So it's not that she probably didn't experience racism. She probably, just how she did when she was with the royals, she probably had negative childhood experiences, but internalized them and thought it was something wrong with her, as opposed to knowing that it's not me, you are just racist. If you are a parent to a child that has any type of black in them, please teach them how to identify racism. It just has to happen.
Racism is taught and hate is generational, and that's why no matter how progressive we get and no matter how we want to say that certain things have changed, they don't really change as much. They just come in a new phase or a different color. And that's why even after so many efforts, there are still certain things that remain the same. And that is also why when we are having discussions with, or when we are highlighting videos where there are people talking about racism, you can find videos from the 2000s, 1990s, 1980s that still apply today. That will mean there is no much progress. If a video done by, for example, Louis Farrakhan, maybe he was being interviewed or he was preaching about something or about black people and their empowerment, and it still actually works today, even when he was talking about maybe about racism, and it still works today, and those are the 1990s or 2000s, that means there is no much change that has happened. And that would mean that there is a long way to go. And until we realize that this cycle of continuously teaching your kids this anger and resentment that you have been given by your parents is not actually helping you, it's actually demotivating you and taking away maybe the power that you feel that you hold, or the power that you have been told that you hold, you cannot really quite be happy until you realize the things that are happening. Because something that white people do not understand or do not know is that they have also been conditioned, and they are also in chains. How are they in chains? Because the things that their forefathers did, like I like saying this, like you cannot cause so much hurt, so much pain towards human beings like you and believe that you're going to exist as a human being for the rest of your life. Maybe your ancestors, maybe they enjoyed their time and they were slaves, they were slave owners, and they did what they did and they got a lot of money from these slaves, work. Maybe they helped them mine or do whatever they wanted these slaves to do. Let's say that they enjoyed their life. They did get kids. Those kids probably did not find black people as slaves, and those other kids got other kids, and those other kids got other kids, and so on and so forth. You have been taught, and you're continuously carrying something that happened in the 1800s. You're still carrying that to now, and you're still teaching the same things to your kids. You're telling your kids that they are more superior just because of the color of their skin, that they should be getting everything they want because of the color of their skin, that the system is set up to make sure that they live a good life because of the color of their skin, and that they should hate a certain people because those people used to be slaves. And then you find that kid actually saying certain things to a black kid or a black person, and you expect them not to get slapped. You see, now you're putting your kids in danger. Do not put your kids in danger. And especially if you consider yourself as a progressive or as someone who is thinking in the future. Something you have to understand is the people in power actually rely on that racism. They rely on you hating on black people, because the time that you're supposed to be using in asking these politicians questions on how they are doing certain things and how their funds are missing, or how they are not even working as they promised you that they are going to work. Instead of you asking those questions, you're out here hating on people who have never done anything to you. Because we know that most white people have not had any bad encounter with black people. They just hate black people because that is what they have been taught. So they carry around this burden and this resentment and this hate towards black people without even knowing why. And they are so angry. They are always angry. You need to understand that you're also being conditioned. And that mindset that you have is very important for the rich, for you to continue having that mindset, because it keeps them in a place where they don't need to pay taxes. When will you get the time to ask Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos about them paying taxes when you are busy hating on black people and trying to make sure that black people do not get the same opportunities that you get? Where are you going to get the time? You can't. And I remember a teaching where I think one of the presidents of America, one of the late presidents of America, said that once you tell a white person, a very poor white person, even a homeless white person, that he is better or he's way more superior to a very, very learned black person, they will believe you. They will believe you. They don't even care about the reason as to why you're telling them that. They just know that, the color of my skin. So that's why there is so much anger and resentment towards black people. And yet it doesn't even have a backbone. You hate and hate and hate when your people are the ones who pose a bigger danger to you. White on white violence is way more than white on black or black on white. White on white violence is at peak and has always been. We have massacres done by white people entering into, churches, entering into schools, entering into arenas or stadiums or places that have many people. They don't even say that they want to actually do this to black people. They literally come to white people and they kill and kill and kill and do whatever they... What? And you don't become afraid of your fellow white people. You don't hate your fellow white people, but you hate the black people who have actually, maybe let's say that black people, maybe, yes, not all black people are perfect. You'll find a black person being a thief, being a drug dealer, or, having offenses, obviously. But look at the system that you have put in place for that black person. A black man doesn't even have the same opportunities, has less opportunities than a small white kid. That black man has to wake up each and every day to make sure that his kids have eaten and his wife has eaten. And yet there are no jobs for him as a black person because he is black. And what do you resort to when you don't have a system working for you? You don't have a job, you don't have food, you have a family you need to provide. Maybe there are medical bills, maybe there's rent, there's this, there's that. What do you expect? It's just a question. I'm not saying all black people do that, but for the ones that do, I'm not saying that everyone does that because they are maybe in a certain situation, but most of the people do because that is the system that has been kept. That is the system that has been made sure that will apply to black people to make sure that they don't amount to anything. They don't want black people to amount to anything. That's why they tell you to be afraid of the hood. They give you these stories about how the hood is very dangerous. You're not supposed to go there as a white person. You're going to be done this or done that or that. And you don't understand, you're being conditioned. These people have been put in certain places. Black people have been put in certain places, and those places have been turned. Any place that black people are living as a community, they call it the hood. No matter how beautiful or how lavish or how nice it looks. They want you to believe a certain narrative so that you can carry it forward to your kids. That is very arrogant. It's also ignorant because you know that it's not the truth. You cannot tell me that you're probably a 20-something-year-old white person and you don't realize that some of the things you have been taught do not actually make sense, especially now with Trump in rule, especially now. And you have always been told about how black people are taking your jobs and black people are, or let's say immigrants and black people. Let's say that, maybe all the minorities, you're being told that they are, attacking you in one way or another. And you get scared without even actually getting your facts right. You get scared and then you support this person who is saying this. Right now, a very good example. It is actual factual stuff. It is the reality of America right now. So many white people supported that immigrants should be deported back to their countries. It happened. Yeah, it happened. And now white farmers are suffering. They were suffering. They are still suffering. They have not had any labor come. They are still having, they're still depending on this government to give them money so that they can be able to pay for fertilizers and manures and everything to do with farms and seeds and all that. But the president is not doing anything about it. He's not changing the taxes. He's actually, taking them higher. The tariffs are going higher and higher and higher so that you cannot afford it. And yet you had cheap labor with these immigrants. So you were told that you don't have jobs. Most of your white people don't have jobs. And now, so you supported that immigrants will be deported. Where are those white people right now? Are they on your farms? Or they aren't? Suspicious, huh? Very suspicious. You have been told that black people are continuously taking your jobs. Now, so many black people do not have jobs. They have literally been attacked. So many black women especially have been fired by so many companies. Have white people taken those jobs? No. Have there been additional jobs to the white people? No. There's still no jobs, even after they have done all that to black people. You have to open your eyes and realize what is happening. You not talking about racism is not a cure to racism. You talking about it and actually acknowledging your part in racism is the first step for a better tomorrow. That is the small, okay, it might be a difficult step, But that one step will go a very, very long way. Do not allow your kids to carry your burdens. Do not allow the burdens that you were forced to bear and to carry to go down to your kids. Because as we are continuing to live, we are realizing that things are never going to go back to how they were. You have to realize that things will never go back to how they were. You might want black people to go back to being your slaves, but that will never happen. Maybe vice versa. Sorry, bad joke. But it's never going to happen again. So live according to your reality, not according to your history. Okay? Clock it. If you have enjoyed this video, if you have learned something, kindly share, subscribe, and like. Share to your friends and family so that we can continue to learn and to grow together. And I hope that you may comment what do you think about this particular topic. I'd like to interact with you down in the description below. If you'd like to support me in another way, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee link down in the description below. I will truly, truly, truly appreciate, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.